These two custom Bo3 maps should have been DLC. Both have absolutely amazing Easter eggs, fun, unique and custom boss fights, and unique and well-designed wonder weapons. So today we're going to beat both maps and see which one is actually better. The map takes place in a research facility in the Siberian tundra. The map takes inspiration from Alpha Omega with many of its wonder weapons, but that's enough information. Let's beat this map. I started off this map like the average UK hoodlum by using my knife to extract money from the zombies. I then started off the Easter egg by turning on power. Then I turned the channels on this weird looking TV and filled it up with souls. I then had to hit 5 different switches around the map to open up Pack-a-Punch. I then used the teleporter to go to the Pack-a-Punch room. In that room I picked up this Element 115 block. For the next step of this Easter egg, I had to get Blast Furnace on one of my guns. With my newbie Pack-a-Punch gun, I had to shoot this drawer and pick up this pink or purple fuse. After that, this wisp spawned in and I had to continuously shoot it as it moved across the entire map. After the 5th time of shooting it, it stopped at this one location and I had to fill it with souls. Once filled, I picked up the charged fuse, then grabbed a Mark II frame from this cabinet and built the Ray Gun Mark II Z, an Alpha Omega variant of the ray gun. I then placed the rock from earlier into this machine and had to start filling it up with zombie souls. Once filled, the rock was unfortunately too hot, so I had to buy the Winter's Howl Mark II. Then I used it to cool down the 115 rock. The Winter's Howl Mark II is a custom weapon that is significantly better than the original. Back to the Easter egg. For the next step of the Easter egg, I had to hit 5 generators outside of the map with a grenade. And let me just say, the way I was throwing some of these grenades had me feeling like prime Tom Brady. Then, after that, I had to shoot 3 pipes around the map with the Winter's Howl Mark II to cool them off. For the next step of the Easter egg, I had to activate this computer and see what symbol was on it. I then had to check 4 different monitors around the map, each with different symbols, and then find the matching symbol on one of those TVs, then click the button underneath it. I had to do this a total of 3 times. After finishing the prior step, I was given the real device. I then put the device inside this weird looking machine and had to fill it up with souls. With that completed, I now had to wait until this pillar came out of the ground. I then had to protect the pillar from an onslaught of zombies. I had to do this 2 more times after that. This step low-key had me sweating. I don't know why, but it felt like every single zombie was a super sprinter. For the final step of the Easter egg, I had to continuously shoot this ball and follow it across the entire map, similarly to the moon Easter egg. Once it reached the teleporter, it was time to go into the boss fight, but before I do that, I had to get the Thunder Gun, which is pretty much like the off-brand Thunder Gun, that freezes the zombies before it kills them. After that, I went back to spawn and took the teleporter and went to the boss fight arena. I immediately saw the pyramid thing from the moon, so I realized I had to fill up each individual vial with souls, which was 4. Once I filled them all up, I put the real device in the machine, and this blue-ass alien-looking motherfucker spawned in. All I had to do was shoot at him while he shot his electricity at me, although eventually he started activating his shield like a bitch, so I had to go to the corner of the room and activate this weird looking machine which took down his shield temporarily. Boss fight was actually really difficult, but the Ray Gun Mark II Z with the Thunder Gun were a deadly combination, and eventually I did defeat this blue looking ass motherfucker. Once I got back to the main map, I was gifted a free Perkaholic, and I have officially beaten the map, although there is no way to actually end the map, so I'm just gonna leave the game. Europa. This stunning map is set on a research facility on one of Jupiter's moons. The map takes heavy inspiration from Moon, as it is technically on a moon. That's enough talk, let's beat this map. I started off by robbing these zombies for every dime they had. Luckily, that was made even easier, because I started off this map with an ice pick. This ice pick would one-shot all the way up until round 5. First, I had to turn on power, which was a 3-part process. First, I had to initialize the generators. Next, I had to start the fluid transfusion sequence, which would actually start a lockdown, which was actually very difficult on round 5. After that, I was finally able to turn on power. This caused the draining of the black liquid inside that room. Inside that room was both Pack-a-Punch and a part for the scavenger. And yes, that is correct. This map's wonder weapon is the scavenger, and with the scavenger, it brings 2 new variants of the scavenger. Back to the Easter egg. For the next step of the Easter egg, I had to collect 3 fuses across the map, then put them each in their respective fuse boxes. With that, I then activated the jump pads within the control room. I then used one of those jump pads to collect this key. I then used that key to open up this safe. Inside was another perk for the scavenger. I didn't exactly know how to find the 3rd perk for the scavenger, but I just found it in the starting room on round 10. I then built the scavenger at this workbench. I then had to get an actual shit ton of kills with the scavenger before a zombie finally drops this keycode. I then had to use that keycode at 4 different keycode scanners across the map. Now, I had to actually leave the keycode in the scanner, so it took around 30 seconds for each run. I then had to use the keycode on this weird looking machine, and then I had to check 3 different TVs across the map, each with their own number on them. I then had to insert those numbers into this machine in numerical order. I then opened the weapons locker next to the machine. This gives me access to both of the elemental scavengers. I first used the fire scavenger to open up this secret door. Behind that door there's a teleporter. I then used the electric scavenger to power on the teleporter. But before I use the teleporter, I first collect this dynamite. After collecting it, I use the teleporter. Once I'm inside the space station, I then place the dynamite on this wall. I then go to the other side and activate the dynamite. This causes a cut screen in which I am sucked out of the space station. After that, I then had to shoot down this what seems to be a B-2 bomber. The B-2 bomber dropped a wheel. I then had to place this wheel on this weird looking pole. On this platform there were 3 different wheels. When I rotated a wheel, one of the satellites would rotate. I then had to point each individual satellite in the direction of the sun. Once they each emitted this red laser. After that, I then activated the teleporter, which took me to the boss fight. And for the boss fight, I was fighting this off-brand Avogadro. Now, this boss fight was actually extremely difficult because the boss fight arena was so small. But luckily I was able to win, and was able to finally beat the map, Europa. And with that, I can officially say that Europa is the better map, as it has a better, more enjoyable Easter egg, a more fleshed out boss fight, and it has a better atmosphere and looks a lot more visually pleasing. So if you liked this video, please consider leaving a like,